In 49 BC, Julius Caesar stood at the banks of the Rubicon River, facing a critical decision. If he crossed it with his army, it would be an open act of defiance against the Roman Senate, essentially declaring war on the Republic and the Optimates, a conservative political faction that sought to preserve the status quo and protect the aristocracy. His bold decision immediately ignited the Roman Civil War. Caesar's rival, Pompey, controlled the Senate's forces and commanded a larger army, but Caesar's speed and decisiveness gave him the upper hand. Once across the Rubicon, Caesar quickly marched south to Rome with his veteran legions. Pompey, caught off guard by Caesar's rapid advance, fled the city rather than risk a confrontation he wasn't prepared for. Strategically avoiding delays, Caesar bypassed Rome and focused on key regions, swiftly securing Italy with minimal bloodshed. Afterward, he turned his attention to Spain, where Pompey's legions were stationed. Instead of going after Pompey directly, Caesar prioritized Spain to cut off his rival's resources, despite facing delays like the siege of Massilia, modern-day Marseille. Caesar's victories, including defeating Pompey's lieutenant at the Battle of Ilerda, ensured he kept momentum in the early stages of the war. By 48 BC, Pompey had gathered a massive army in Greece, hoping for a favorable confrontation. Caesar pursued him, knowing the stakes were high. The two forces clashed in Dyrrachium, where Caesar was outnumbered and in a difficult position. After several weeks of sporadic fighting, Pompey nearly destroyed Caesar's army in a counterattack, but Caesar narrowly escaped defeat by retreating in time. Pompey's failure to capitalize on his advantage allowed Caesar to regroup. The turning point came at the Battle of Pharsalus, where Pompey's larger army was decisively beaten through Caesar's brilliant tactics despite being outnumbered. Pompey fled to Egypt, but was betrayed and killed, marking a tragic end to his life. When Caesar arrived in Egypt, he was disgusted by the murder of Pompey. Despite being his enemy, Pompey had once been an ally and his son-in-law. Caesar became entangled in Egypt's political struggles, siding with Cleopatra in her civil war against her brother, Ptolemy III. Their alliance was solidified through both political and personal connections, and Cleopatra eventually bore Caesar's son, Caesarion. After months of siege in Alexandria, reinforcements allowed Caesar to break through Ptolemy's forces. Ptolemy drowned in the Nile, and Cleopatra was left in power, securing Egypt as a Roman ally. Despite his victories in Egypt, Caesar had to return to confront Pompey's surviving allies in North Africa. In 46 BC, he faced off against the Optimate forces led by Metellus Scipio and King Jupiter I of Numidia at the Battle of Pharsalus. Using superior tactics, Caesar neutralized the threat of Numidian war elephants, causing panic among the enemy's forces. Scipio was captured and executed, while Cato the Younger, another key leader, chose to take his own life. Caesar's victory in Africa cemented his control over the western provinces, though resistance from Pompey's sons continued in Spain. The final chapter of Caesar's civil war took place in 45 BC at the Battle of Munda in southern Spain. Pompey's sons, Gnaeus and Sextus, had raised a large army to avenge their father. The battle was intense, with Caesar narrowly avoiding death as he led his men into the fray. His tactics eventually turned the tide, and the Pompeian forces crumbled. Gnaeus Pompey was captured and executed, marking the end of the civil war. Although Sextus Pompey would cause trouble later, Caesar's victory at Munda effectively secured his dominance. The Roman Civil War reshaped the political landscape, dismantling the old republic and laying the foundation for the Roman Empire. Caesar's assassination in 44 BC cut his own ambitions short, but his impact on Rome's future endured long after his death.